Hi, Michael Buffer here, and let's get ready for FM Boxing Media.
Frankie Morgan here from FM Boxing Media, brought to you by the High Protein Company and For You Hair Products. And today I'm with one of the main men in the promotion scene at the moment, taking over your call not only on one occasion, but two occasions in 2 days. How are we doing, John?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Now, I don't know I know a bit of the history of your call, but has that ever been done before? One promotion, 2 days?
I don't think so. I mean, it might have done, but it hasn't been done in recent year, like
Yeah,
10, 20 odd years. I mean, pulling off two back-to-back nights is a big thing. I know Eddie Earn's done stuff like that before, but it's the same venue, so it shouldn't be too hard. We've got two teams, obviously. So you've got TM14, we've got Nielsen. One of the good things working together is not only be put on bigger and better shows, but there's more manpower. So we'll get down there on the Thursday, do a weigh-in, collect some money. The Friday, then obviously we'll do a weigh-in on the Friday for those on the Saturday. But also we'll be setting up on the Friday, and I guess then after the show you're ready for Saturday, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
exciting, but with a summer break, lots of people still want to fight, and they're like, oh, we want back in the July or August, and we don't do the shows because no one sells any tickets because everyone's on holiday. So there's enough fighters to get out, and we don't want to sort of like let certain ones down because we try and treat everybody fairly. Some sell a few more tickets, or some maybe fight for us more often. But I don't want to be in a position where we're turning fighters away when they're asking to go on a show. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a good few days for sure.
Yeah, and I spoke to someone the other day, and before this was announced, someone said, "Oh, John might be doing two shows with Nice and two in 2 days." And I was thinking, "Oh, normally if you hear two in 2 days, the first one or the second one's unbelievable, and the other one could be mediocre." But I've had a look, and there's fights on fights on fights, names on names on names on both shows, and for you to be able to put up that many names over both shows, how hard was that to get together?
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's nice when you get good feedback like that. We have got good names on both shows. Again, we've got good relationships with everybody. So I spend a lot of time on the phone going, right, are you on? Are you on? Whatever it is. Now, in answer to what you said, the Friday night card won't look as strong as the Saturday. We've got a hell of a lot of 50-50s on the Saturday. And the Friday's not as much. They're more prospects, but we also have some big names on the Friday show. I mean, on the Friday, you've got Lerone Richards and Jordan Flynn, for example. They're both with S Jam and they're both good fighters,
Yeah,
but they're at a stage where, mate, say again.
both been on big cards, Matchrooms, Queensberry's. They've been on all the big shows.
Yeah, I think Lerone, is he not an ex-IBO world champion? He's a
Yeah,
class, but I think both fighters are at a stage of their career where they're probably going to take a decent fight, and then you'll probably see them back on them big platforms next time out. But there's a load of other talent on the Friday night as well, a lot of up and coming talent. But the Saturday night does appear to look at the moment like it'll be a bit more meaty. But yeah, good shows.
yeah, so they're two names to start off with, but you've also got Marty Mason, Arnie Dawson, which is a massive fight, especially in my local area. Everyone knows the two of them. How much you looking forward to a fight like that? You know that both people are going to bring a good crowd.
Yeah, and there's a few more that you're probably not aware of, which I'll actually let out the bag tonight, like 50-50 fights. But you have got Arnie v Marley. That one everyone's talking about more than the others at the moment, although the other ones haven't been announced yet. It's a fantastic fight. We've had Marley a few times on our show. He's one of the crowd's favourites. I've got a lot of friends who come and watch my show who aren't boxing fans. They don't mind it, but they're more friends than me, and they come for a night out, have a drink, and watch it. And they've now got into it. And you ask most of them, who do you like watching the most? Most of them will tell you Marley, because
Yeah.
what you see is what you get. It's like he's in a playground every time, and he'll just stand there and go hell for leather in the middle of a ring. So he's definitely a crowd favourite. But he's fighting Arnie Dawson, who's definitely on his way up. Arnie's 7-0 now with 4 knockouts. I think the last three have been knockouts, or three of the last four. He knocked out a fella in America when we took him to Texas. He knocked out an American in the return back here at Chelsea. He's just gone in an away corner for a Commonwealth youth up in Middlesbrough or Newcastle, wherever it was. And he's beat a 5-0 kid who was undefeated and stopped him. They've sparred before, so they both know what they're getting. Marley definitely knows Arnie and vice versa. I think probably Arnie's one of the most improved fighters that we've got,
Yeah.
if not in the sport. And I know there's a lot of noise about him. Some of the bigger fighters are really like raving about him. But Arnie is very experienced. Arnie's got a few defeats on his record, but when you look at them, who they're against, he's brave for taking them fights. Your Jeff Afore's, your Louis O'Doherty's, your Aaron Prospers, and that was a close one as well. Jeff was a draw, actually, I think. But that'll be a cracking fight for sure.
Yeah, and obviously he's got that marvellous Marvin Hagler look in that last knockout. Well, the one before at Chelsea, Now, ever since then, his name's been going all over the place, ain't it?
You mean Arnie? Yeah, you're on about Roberto Duran where he fell
Duran,
forward.
sorry, that's the
Yeah,
one.
that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, I knew what you meant. Yeah,
yeah,
and he
yeah,
put it up again yesterday. I think the day after the Chelsea fight, it was all over Instagram because it was exact mirror image
yeah,
of
yeah,
that knockout. He's quite quiet and unassuming. There's lots of lovely lads in the sport, but he's one of the nicest. You know, his manners, his respect levels. But whenever you put a fight to him, it don't matter who you offer. They go, okay, we'll do it. It really does. And I've got to be honest, Marley's the same. So it's very hard sometimes to make these 50-50 fights, Frankie, because a lot of them don't take it or they want a 50-50, but really they mean 70-30 or 80-20 in their favour. But then the other side are huge underdogs, so they don't want it. But when you speak to people like Marley or Arnie and go, will you take him? And they just go, yeah, straight away, it makes our job a lot easier.
yeah, yeah. And obviously, talking of lovely people who love taking 50-50, is one of your favourite fighters, Sonny Hardy, on one of the cards as well. Now, obviously, we had that little clip of you last time jumping around, bit of an Eddie Earn moment and jumping in the ring. But
I was sharing that for weeks. She gave me a load of attention. I was getting more attention than the fighters. But yeah, it was a bit embarrassing when I sort of like looking the next day. I got carried away. But no, I loved it. But yeah, look, we love them all. But when you've got fighters who, what is he now, 9-0, and all nine have been with us at
yeah,
TM14, that's loyalty. We love working with Sonny. He's also one of the best talents out there. He definitely does a ticket. We love working with Kev, his trainer, and his manager because he's a good guy. Not yet matched Sonny Hardy, but again, he'll be in a good fight. You know, he's coming off a terrific win last time. He fought a 4-0 prospect. And I've got to be honest, I matched that fight thinking, yeah, we should win this. And a lot of people were like, John, this guy's better than you think. I'm
yeah,
not sure he wins. And that's great for the show and as a promoter, but equally, it's my job to look after Sonny and steer him so that he can get to where he wants to go. But he did what he had to do. It was a close fight. I didn't really see what it was on the scorecards when he got stopped, but he found a punch and he stopped him. And that's what boxing's all about.
yeah. And I spoke to Sonny the week before, and he had not a nervous look, but like a good nervous look about him, as if this could go the wrong way. So I'm putting in more in training. And is that the sort of like little push that you want to give to these fighters? The fights that they should be favourites in, but it could go the wrong way. Is that what you want to do to push your fighters to the best of their abilities?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, first and foremost, I'm a promoter. I don't manage. So I deal with the managers because I like it that way. I just want to put great shows on. So I like the fights to be great, but the ones that are with me permanently and have been, like Sonny, you need to look at it that little bit more. If I'm dealing with a couple of other fighters that I've never had, or they've had one or two with me and three or four with Goodwin, or three or four with Johnny, or something like that, then actually it's like, well, you just fight anywhere. Let's chuck them in. But definitely with Sonny, I had that nervousness about me fight week just because a few people were saying he's probably better than you think. But
Yeah.
he was great, Ellison. Fair play to him. You know, the fight was in the balance. I probably had Sonny slightly ahead, but again, I didn't look at the scorecard, didn't see it. But boxing's about stopping people if you can, and that's what Sonny did. And Sonny needed to dig deep and tick a box there. And you know, we've put someone in front of him who was live. We put someone in front of him who believed he was going to win, and we put someone in front of him who believed that he'd throw it all at him, and he did all that, and he come through unscathed with a stoppage. So brilliant.
Yeah, after putting up a fight like that, is Ellison someone you're going to want back on the shows in the future?
He will be back on, yeah, for sure. He's not on for this one. I think he's going to take a rest the next spot or so, and then we'll have a look at it. He might have like one or two sort of like easier fights now because I think maybe they put him in a bit too early. In hindsight, I'm not saying maybe the team might think that because he got beat, but there's no shame in getting beat by Sonny because Sonny's a class act, and hopefully that will prove at the level that Sonny goes to. I won't tempt fate, but I think Sonny goes quite far. Hopefully, we get those big fights with him as we grow. But if we don't, I'll happily watch him on a Matchroom or a Queensbury show if and when that happens. So there's no shame for Ellison losing that fight, and he'll be back.
Yeah, and one person that is back is the one that was on the main event of your last show, Dan Francis. Obviously, put up a great fight himself as well. Come a little bit short at the end. I think he might have maybe wanted to just push to that final bell. But how good of a performance was it that night from Dan? Even though he was on the wrong end of the score, wrong end of the victory.
Yeah, he's excellent,
Yeah,
and I love Dan. You know, he's obviously managed by the Nielsen, so it's easy to get him on because it's their fighter and we work together. He won the Fight of the Year contender against Ollie Duffy. That's already up for Fight of the Year. I believe
yeah,
the Joel Cordoa one is as well now.
yeah,
There's no shame for Dan to lose. Joel Cordoa showed his levels that night. The right fighter won. Sorry, I did have. Dan coming right back into the fight in the later rounds. I had Dan winning a few of them later rounds, and it was a little bit. I felt that if Joel had won the last, or even if Dan won the last round, I think I still had him ahead. But he went out and did what he had to do. Now, Dan's still hard to match because, like I said, he's gone 10 rounds and got stopped by Joel, but Joel's clearly better than that level. So it don't mean that Dan's an easy touch. So I'm still struggling at the moment to match Dan in terms of who we get, but it'll be a good opponent. But we got two others. You've seen the other 50-50, Louis Pichetti and Harvey Dykes?
Yeah, I did. I was just about to mention Louis Pichetti, another returning customer on the TM14 shows.
Yeah, so we're happy about that one. That's the Southern Area final eliminator as well. So that's really, really good. You got to give credit to both these lads. Most of the other heavyweights that we speak to and dealing with, I want a 50-50. And then when it came down to it, they wouldn't take it. I don't think either of these ideally wanted to fight each other. But then when the others were sort of like not doing it, it was like, well, who are you going to fight? And they both took it. Louis is a young lad. He still did have that one defeat, but he came back and then he stopped that fella in the next one. And that's at balls, because if you've just been beaten by someone, and I think Louis is only like 19, 20, he's only a young lad. You know, there's still so much to come. But they rang me up and went, no, get the rematch on. I'm like, you sure? And they went, yeah. And he stopped him. And Harvey Dykes is a decorated amateur. He's a southpaw. He'll be tricky. Doesn't seem to knock people out himself in the pros, but it doesn't look like he needs to. So styles make fights. It's a cracking fight. That I was on the phone to one of the managers today, so we'll look forward to that. We have got, I'll let you know, two other 50-50s that you're not aware of yet. One is Jordan Dujon against Ibrahima Diallo. So Diallo's with 258 management. That's Anthony Joshua's lot, obviously, and he's 11-0 from Belgium. We had him on our Harrow show. And Jordan Dujon, I've got it in front of me. I think he's about 12-4 or something, but where he's been beat, Jordan, they're high level operators. Jordan's a good guy. You know, I went to Texas with him. He was in the corner of one of the fights. I spent a week with him out there. And you got to give them hats off to them because they're taking that and stepping up. And then we've obviously got another one that will be announced tomorrow, Bas Oosterwegel. So he's the Dutch fellow who fights for the Nielsen's. He's 9-3. He's fighting Mark Williams, who's 4-0. So they're two more 50-50s there that are proper crackers. And you mentioned names like Sonny Hardy, Dan Francis. I've got Jake Henty on that show. Finley James, these will be in good fight. Kieran's not actually on this one now. I think he's going to go on the next one. But all those fighters I've just mentioned, I'm looking at the book now, they're all going to go in 50-50 fights. We've also got Mitchell Smith back on. So Mitchell, you'll be aware of, I think, what is he, 17-1 now? So that Saturday night card's looking very, very tasty indeed.
Yeah, and obviously when it comes to your shows, you're maybe not at the levels when you've got the Matchrooms and the Queensberries. People go on Ticketmaster, AXS, they buy their tickets there. A lot of these are self-promoted fighters. They sell their own tickets. Now, how much of a pressure is it on promoters making sure you're getting the right fighters that are going to bring in the right crowds and sell out these venues?
Yeah, good question, Frankie. Well, it's an obvious answer. It is a lot of pressure because to put on a show at York Hall doesn't come cheap. You know, the venue, the security, the doctors, the production, you're starting to get towards 15 grand just when you mention them things. I mean, they're the more costly things. So when you start adding everything else in, everybody in the building's got to be paid. So they have to sell the tickets. If fighters can't sell tickets, it's a shame the sport, this side of the sport. I've seen quite a few fighters where I've probably not put them on the show when they want to come on and they're better than a lot of the others. But if you're going to sell 10, 20, 30 tickets, you're not generating enough money to pay your opponent, let alone money towards the show. You know, you'll see all small hall promoters say the same, but it's true. We don't make no money on these shows. If we did, I wouldn't have a job as well, would I? So I have a full-time job because I have to pay the bills. So we can't let fighters on unless they're going to do the minimum amount of tickets, which pays that slot. So it's a clever process you've got to do because you want to put good fighters on because you want to make sure the quality of the card's good. But equally, sometimes the bigger ticket sellers are a little bit easier for you because you know that the revenue's coming in. But we get a good balance, and there's many fighters out there that are good at ticket sellers and they're good fighters. We just mentioned a couple of them, your Finley James, your Sonny Hardy for sure. Indabassi, we've had him many a times. These are big ticket sellers who are great fighters as well.
One person who's a guaranteed ticket seller, I don't know if you know exactly how many they sell, but obviously you've got Jordan Flynn from Oxford, has a good backing behind him. He's arguably one of the best ticket sellers at his level from his area. Everyone backs him. How good is it to have someone that's just come off a Matchroom show straight onto a TM14?
Yeah, it's really good. Look, we know Jordan well. I had my first ever show was in Northampton and I put him on there. So, and at the time, that was me getting a Kevin Mitchell fighter who trained out of Eddie Hearn's Matchroom gym. And I had him on there and he did about 250 tickets in Northampton, which isn't that far from Oxford. I've actually spoke to Jordan today. He hasn't put his poster up yet. I was like, what's happening? You know, just checking it was all right. He's like, it's all right, bro. I'm doing it tomorrow. But Jordan, I was like, go and sell your tickets, mate, because when he sells, he definitely sells. You know, again, he's just fought on an Eddie Hearn show, as you said. There's no shame in losing to Cameron Vaughn. Cameron Vong is better levels than that. And I tell you what will happen with Jordan, he will have learned from that fight because he's lost. So no, it's a pleasure to have Jordan back on. I've had him on 3 times, I think, over the 3 or 4 years I've been doing it, but we haven't had him for a while. And he's also now he's with Buddy McGirt, so he's been training out in Portugal with Dillian White,
Yeah.
and obviously Dillian White a bit. They'll be over here the weekend after next for that big fight against Ituma. So
Yeah.
to be part of that team is great for him to rub shoulders with people like that, and let's hope he's improving.
Yeah, and obviously that Cameron Vong fight, a lot of people wrote Jordan off completely. First 2, 3 rounds, I feel like Jordan was putting the pressure on him. Now Jordan's obviously a pressure pot fighter. He's going to come for knockouts. If he gets the big knockouts and you get them viral clips, what does that do for you as a promoter and your Instagrams and your social medias when you've got these pressure fighters that bring the entertainment and bring the eyes in?
Yeah, it's brilliant. As you said, they're pressure fighters. He's definitely, your casual fan. They love that. The hardcore fans like myself, I quite like the defensive style. Mayweather was my favourite, for example. If you can find a way to outbox someone, that's quite smart. But we all love a proper tear up where they just stand there and try and knock each other out, as long as they both get out of the ring healthy and safe. But a knockout's always good. But yeah, we'll look forward to him being on.
Yeah, and obviously we don't get many interviews. Every single time it comes to the end of the night, one of us is somewhere, the other one's the other place. We always try and meet up. So before this one, I think we're going to have to sit down before the show, have a little talk, and then try and get another one afterwards. But we haven't even had a catch up since Chelsea, Stamford Bridge. Obviously, yeah, somewhere that you've obviously wanted to do since you got into this game. How much of a proud moment was that for you going to the place that you love?
Yeah, it was a real proud moment. Give credit. That was mainly Dennis Hobson's show. Dennis was the main license holder. It was Dennis's money put on the line. Dennis, good friend of mine. So we put the show on, but the fighters were mainly my fighters that I work with. It was a proud moment for me because Dennis let me treat it like it was my show just as much as his, because I put the work into it. To be able to stand in the ring with some of them fighters for a Chelsea Football Club with someone like Dennis and his experience, it was a very, very proud moment for me. And so far, a massive tick box. We've done the O2 Indigo a couple of times, which is a special place for us at our level. But I can say I did the first ever professional boxing show at Stamford Bridge. So, especially when we win the title next year as well, the Premier League's coming back home. So,
Club World Champions, I'll let you have that at the moment.
well, you said it. You said it, not me.
Yeah, I thought I had to drop it in now. I see the smile on your face as soon as Chelsea got mentioned. But obviously,
Yeah.
Roy Jones was there. We sat down at Talksport Studios a couple of weeks before, and you told me about pinch me moments with Roy Jones when you're out in America and you bump into him and all that. I had one myself the other day. I actually dropped him back to his hotel in my car, and I remember you saying don't know what's going on at the time, and then afterwards you're like, oh, I just spoke to Roy Jones, and then it goes on and on and on. And I think I know exactly what you mean now because when you said it, I was a bit like, I don't get what he means, but as soon as Roy Jones got out of my car, the first thing I thought was that's how John felt.
Yeah, spot on. Like I tell you, that's similar memories I had. I don't know, people who are watching it didn't know, but when I was in Texas the first time, I'm sat down with him having a KFC, watching basketball and NFL on the TV, and for anyone who doesn't know Roy Jones, all you got to do is Google the fella, and it will tell you he's one of the pound for pound greatest boxers of all time. When you look at his record, because maybe he outstayed his welcome, and that's probably because of money, like a lot of fighters do. Mike Tyson's the same. If you look at Mike Tyson's record, well, Roy's last fight was against Mike Tyson, right, for charity, I think. So, well, for money. So that tells you. But to just sit in the presence of someone like that, and you'll know this from being in the car, but he's down to earth, he's humble. I remember I found it quite good because when he came over for the Chelsea one, the weigh-in was at the Peacock the day before, and there must have been a good 100+ people in the new Peacock, and it was rammed. And Roy sort of like came in the side door, and the whole place just went.
Wow.
It was like a scene out of Snatch or something, right? Everybody just stopped and stared at him, and he walked through quite quietly, and his eyes just caught mine. And he was like, "Oh!" and come and give me like a big cuddle because he recognised me, and I'm sort of like stood in. George Groves is over there waiting to get a picture with him at the time, kind of thing, and I'm thinking, yeah, I know him, so it's quite good, but really good guy. I see he's been over here a lot recently. I bumped into him again last week. Actually, I went to the Bournemouth show, went down to watch Reece Bellotti with his manager, and obviously Carl Fowl and Ellis Sorrow because they're out the Peacock, and I went in the changing rooms to see them, and I walked past one of them and went in there, and Roy was in there with the lad he was with, was it Tony Curtis Jr. So again, it was like, all right, Roy. So he can give me some of that money if I'm mates with him now, right?
Yeah, and obviously talking of Bellotti, just signed a fight against Josh Padley, who this year has arguably been one of the biggest names in British boxing because of the Shakur fight. How big are fights like this for these two Brits going at it? These are what you do on a smaller scale. But when you see it on the Matchroom shows and all that, how good is it to see two Brits that are both at different points of their career, but going at it like that?
Yeah, I saw it today. I saw it announced today, and I was surprised because it was so quick after that one last week. But I guess Reece Belotti's a fantastic fighter, and he's had a great career. But he's probably at an age now where he's getting nearer the end, and he's just lost against Garner last week. And again, no shame in that. And Garner was brilliant. But I guess the money coming in for a Josh Padley fight on a similar size show, you're not going to say no to it. And actually, he'll have belief that he can go and win it. But Josh is in a good place, like you say. He's really improved, and it'll be a great crossroads fight. And let's see who comes through there.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to give you a shout out for, the same as Johnny Clark when I interview him, is when it comes to us small media people, I dropped you a message the day before your show last time and said I've got someone that wants to come along. And every single time it's come. Anyone who's small media, come along, show the show, get it out there. But you also help the small people as well. So I want to give you a big shout out for that and give you a massive thank you for always sitting
No
down
worries, mate.
in
Look,
these interviews.
It's all the same for everyone, mate. I had to start out once as well. I was a promoter who hadn't done a show. I was in the media like you, hadn't even interviewed anyone. So just remember where you are, and everybody should look after each other. It's a small sport as well, so no drama there, mate. And you give exposure to the fighters and us, right? So it doesn't matter what platform. All right, I get it if it's IFL and they've got like a lot more followers. I understand that you're going to get more traction, but any interview is good.
Yeah, 100%. But for anyone who might be a casual fan, who might be watching this at the moment, who's thinking, why should I go to these two shows? If you just want to sign out with one reason why they should be there on the Friday and the Saturday, what would you say to them?
I think we covered it off at the beginning. To be fair, it's a good question. I would say come along and see Lerone Richards and Jordan Flynn on the Friday. With a load of top talent, just because they're 2-0s, 3-0s, 4-0s, and 5-0s, and they're still learning fights. Some of these fighters will be the bigger fighters that are maybe on the Saturday. You didn't even mention Dorin, actually. Dorin's on the Saturday as well. The heavyweight who just stopped Gideon. There's a whole host of people on the Saturday night. The last show I did, or we did, I think was arguably the best. I mean, the Chelsea show was a Chelsea show, but it was arguably the best.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make this one better. And that's now what we got to do for the broadcasters. We've got TalkSport and Seconds Out on board. We need to continue to give them a good product. And equally for the fans and the friends and family of the fighters who are buying the tickets, we don't just want them to come and watch their fighter. We want to give value for money so that people coming in are getting like a top class card. Some of these cards, albeit levels, I get that. But you can look at Frank and Eddie shows sometimes where you go, well, there's 3 good fights at the top of the bill, and the rest are just prospects against journeymen. So if we've got 4, 5, 6 50-50s on there, I had people watching that last one from home going, John, that's just amazing. Every fight was like a war. And I was like, that's what you want to hear?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, Alfred Clegg had a good fight. Sonny Hardy had a good fight. Joel Kunda, Dan Francis, another good fight. It was fight
Dorin.
after fight. And yeah, it was one of them where I've actually said this to Johnny Clark once before as well. When you go to York Hall, it's hard to get interviews. So you have to go to the back and you have to stand out there and do an interview. But it was one of them where I didn't get many interviews, which ain't good for me. But I had a great night because I sat and watched every single fight and enjoyed every one of them.
You're a fan. Listen, anyone you want that you don't get, just give us a shout because the fighters like the publicity, even on Zoom like this. So if there's any that you don't know or can't get hold of on the DMs, let me know and we'll sort that out for you.
Yeah, and if any other media wants to come, all they've got to do is just drop John a DM. And
That's it.
I'm sure John's more than happy to talk boxing, or even if you want to talk football to him, I wouldn't. But if you want to talk football with John, then yeah, I'm sure you can get a Zoom call as well. But John,
Excellent.
thank you very much for the interview, mate. And I look
Okay.
forward to seeing you on the Friday and the Saturday. And
Yeah, look forward to it.
let's hope they're both as good as the last show.
Exactly. Thanks, mate. Catch you soon.
Thank you, mate.